Hey everybody, I'm Meagan Hatcher-Mays, Director of Democracy Policy here at Indivisible, and welcome to another edition of Impeachment Daily. It is a crisp fall day here in the nation's capital. Impeachment truly is in the air. And as you know, Impeachment Daily exists to demystify the impeachment process and let you know how you can stay involved in this fight, although recently it's mostly just been me identifying various members of Trump's crime syndicate. And I think there's going to be a little bit more of that today, in fact. Once again, we are trying to drink from the impeachment fire hose. There is so much going on. There's so much to discuss. So today we're going to revisit Turkey. I'm going to let you know who had a meltdown in the White House yesterday. No spoilers, no spoilers. And I'm very glad I introduced you to Mick Mulvaney yesterday because this man is on a roll today, a big old corrupt roll. So let's just get started with our first segment, which I'm calling What Just Happened, where we recap what we know. So we've actually talked about Turkey on this show before. A couple of weeks ago, Trump made a very surprising decision to pull U.S. troops out of northern Syria, which is near the Turkish border. Our troops had been there for a long time, fighting alongside allies in that region, trying to defeat ISIS. We have now abandoned those allies and left them with few good options for survival. The worst part is we don't know exactly what motivated this decision or what's going to happen next, but we know that even Republicans were dismayed by Trump's choice to do this, and they spoke out against Trump's decision, which is a big rarity for them. So remember that all 100 senators will serve as jurors in Trump's impeachment trial in the Senate. Really not a good idea to make those people mad, but indeed it does appear that the jurors are getting antsy because yesterday Trump called a meeting with leaders from both parties, including Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. He also brought along Kevin McCarthy, who is the Republican House Minority Leader, Steve Mnuchin, the rich guy who produced the Lego movie, who is now the Treasury Secretary, was there, and some other officials from the Trump administration and from the military. So during this meeting, Trump apparently had like a level 10 meltdown, like an absolute temper tantrum. And he was apparently surprised at how mad Republicans were at him for ditching our allies in Syria. So you know what that means. He, of course, started flailing and lashing out. So first, he passed around this absolutely bananas letter. It's on White House letterhead. This is a real letter that he sent to Erdogan, who is the president of Turkey. And it read in part, "Let's work out a good deal. You don't want to be responsible for slaughtering thousands of people, and I don't want to be responsible for destroying the Turkish economy. And I will!" Exclamation point. History will look upon you favorably if you get this done in the right and humane way. It will look upon you forever as the devil if good things don't happen. Don't be a tough guy. Don't be a fool. That's it in here. So apparently this letter did not get quite the reaction that Trump was expecting because this meeting devolved into chaos and the Democrats actually ended up walking out on Trump. So Trump, of course, realizes he's getting bad press for this meltdown and he decides to tweet out this photo, which I'm sure you have seen. Presumably he thought that this would make Nancy Pelosi look bad, but as you can see, he looks just like an absolute scared, petulant child. Just, ugh. I gotta tell you, I do not like this episode of the Trump reality show. So, to recap, Trump is making insane decisions, he's throwing tantrums in public and private, he's sending out ill-advised tweets, although that's pretty normal for him, and now he's alienating his own party on the eve of his own impeachment trial. Could it possibly get any worse for Donald Trump? Yes! Of course! That leads us to our next segment, which I'm calling What is Happening? Where we discuss what is happening. Now, what's happening is Mick Mulvaney, baby. We talked about him yesterday. Remember him? He's the head of the Office of Management and Budget, and he is also Trump's acting chief of staff. So it has been revealed over the last couple of days that Mulvaney was pretty deeply involved in this Ukraine scandal and even helped set up the phone call that's at the center of all of this. So that's the call where Trump asked the Ukrainian president to do me a favor, though, and investigate the Bidens in exchange for foreign aid. Now, there's another phrase for that kind of favor. It's called a quid pro quo, and it's illegal. So Mulvaney is under scrutiny for setting up this phone call in the first place, so what does Trump do? He throws him in front of some cameras, of course. Mick Mulvaney had a press conference today and gave just a grade A master class in corruption. It was incredible. This happened earlier today. He admitted, yes, Trump's behavior does amount to a quid pro quo, but it wasn't corrupt. Don't worry. I mean, it was, though. I mean, it was corrupt. So just if someone could let Mick Mulvaney know that it was totally corrupt, that would be great. But he ended the press conference by saying, just get over it. And I don't think I will, Mick. I have an impeachment-related show to do here, and you've given me quite a bit of material. So in addition to admitting some crimes, Mulvaney also announced that the upcoming G7 summit, which is a meeting of leaders from the 7 countries with the largest advanced economies in the world, is going to be held at Trump's golf club in Miami. It's just so blatantly wrong. I mean, you might remember, actually, that Trump has been laying the groundwork to host this thing at one of his properties for like the last few months. And now it's happening. And yes, the president is once again personally enriching himself from the Oval Office. Yes, in violation of the Constitution. I mean, you may have heard that when foreign leaders come here to the nation's capital, they often stay in Trump's hotel here. And specifically, they do it to curry favor with him and his administration. I mean, he's making millions enriching himself from these types of visits. This is unconstitutional. There is a clause in the Constitution. It's called the Emoluments Clause, and it prohibits the president from accepting gifts from foreign governments. And it exists because the framers were especially concerned about this kind of thing. They did not want the U.S. president to be beholden to foreign interests. That's why it's in here. So look, we know House committees have been investigating this already, this aspect of Trump's corruption, his conflicts of interest at his hotels. And it's really, really important, I think, that issue, this emoluments issue, makes it into the final articles of impeachment. We haven't seen those yet, but we're really hoping to see that because no future president should ever have the ability to sell us out like this. It's too much. So I'm going to tell you how to stay involved in a minute. I know we joke a lot on this show, but I actually kind of wanted to end this on a serious note. So I wanted to say a word about Elijah Cummings, who is the longtime congressman from Baltimore. He passed away earlier today. And if you don't know him, you look him up. He was a civil rights legend, an absolute legend. He dedicated his life to being a public servant, and he loved his city of Baltimore so, so much. He worked his way up to be the chairman of one of the most powerful committees in the House. That's the Oversight Committee, and that is one of the committees that was investigating Trump's hotel. Cummings understood how important this moment is for our country, and so I wanted to share something that he said that really kind of inspired me earlier today, where he said it was important to guard this moment. And he said, I'm begging the American people to pay attention to what is going on, because if you want to have a democracy intact for your children and your children's children and generations yet unborn, we have got to guard against this moment. This is our watch. This is our watch. So let's stay in this thing, okay? Let's stay in this thing together. Please text IMPEACH to 97779 and we will connect you directly with your representatives. Let them know how important this is to you. Let them know that this is our watch. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back here in the impeachment cave tomorrow.